We'll jump into the evening and, good evening and welcome back to the Janice Black Warner Speaker Series. After a short summer hiatus, it's so wonderful to be back together again. And as always, this series is made possible by the generosity and vision of Janice Black Warner. And we're so grateful to her today and her younger self that's profiled in our picture shown for her continued support of this monthly program that brings our community together for learning, healing, and connection. As we step into September, we recognize that it is Suicide Prevention Month, a time to reflect on the importance of compassion, awareness, and care for ourselves and for each other. And tonight's program is a perfect segue to that. Back to school and back to self, honoring our inner child. It's especially fitting as many of us navigate the stresses and transitions of a new school year. And to honor this theme, we're also sharing photos, as you may see, of our younger selves. And this is a reminder to care for our inner child at every stage of life. These images reflect the innocence, hope, and resilience we carry with us and serve as a powerful reminder to be kind to ourselves on our journeys of healing. So all of us who are caregivers, all of us who may be having a hard time or dealing with mental health challenges on a daily basis, remember your inner child, because all of us have that inner child, no matter what age you are. And it's important to acknowledge our inner self. And tonight we're going to do that. So we're thrilled to welcome two wonderful speakers. Oshri Hakak, a Los Angeles-based artist, musician, and mental health educator. Oshri, who we love and adore, loves to generate work that aids individuals and communities as the individual and collective healing journeys. He is a children's book author and illustrator, having created and co-created more than 25 books, many of which I'm sure some of you have read here, and counting, that touch on mental health, mindfulness, interbeing, and conscientious ages for 2 to 202. Doesn't matter how old you are for his books. He is our school program coordinator for NAMI Westside Los Angeles. Thank you so much, Oshri. We're so blessed to have you on the team. He studied psychology and management at Duke University and is also a certified in meditation and dialogue facilitation, yoga instruction. Really, there's not much that Oshri doesn't do. I often refer to him as our resident Renaissance man and Shel Silverstein. We're very grateful to have him here this evening, and his creativity and his dedication shines through his work with his students, his families, and anyone who knows him. And equally, as his partner and speaker this evening, Francesca Reicherter. She told me it took her to her senior year in high school to be able to pronounce her last name. So I hope I did it justice on my first try. Probably not, but thank you, Fran, for your grace. She is one of our trusted program leaders and a passionate mental health advocate. Francesca is the founder and president of Inspiring My Generation, a nonprofit dedicated to suicide prevention through awareness, education, and support. A 3-time suicide attempt survivor, she turned her personal mental health journey and the loss of her uncle to suicide into a mission to make mental health resources accessible. And she does so with such love and such grace. Francesca is also the host of Normalize the Conversation podcast, author of 6 mental health workbooks and a children's book that's actually featured behind her, if you can see, and an award-winning speaker and advocate recognized nationally for her impactful work. Also, Fran, as we affectionately call her, brings wisdom, compassion, and lived experience to our community, and we are so blessed to have her. So please join me in welcoming Oshri and Fran.
All right, I'm going to jump in and I'm going to lead the beginning of our segment today and then pass it along to Fran. And it's one thing that's kind of fun, I'll say first, is Fran and I get to present every week at UCLA for the kids, for the child unit, and for the adolescents. So I feel this is kind of a version of what we've been doing every week for several months now for for the grown-ups, but for the child inside the grown-ups. So with that, I'm going to start off by sharing some about NAMI's offerings. Many of you on screen may know what we do in terms of offerings for youth in our programming, opportunities for schools for K through 12th grade, really, and even beyond. And I'll jump in and start there. We'll talk about ending the silence first. I'm going to be very loose with following the slides here, as I talk about ending the silence a lot. So ETS, I'm going to call it ETS, Ending the Silence, is a program that offers education, support, and advocacy. There's coping skills that we talk about. We also bring in a speaker to talk about their lived experience. And I really like to think of it as just a dynamic mental health crash course for kids and a way that they can start to begin a conversation that they may never have had before in their lives. I have a quick question too as I go on. Should I enlarge the slides? Is that a little better? Or is that even better?
That
Is
looks
that
great, Oshri.
not good? Okay, cool. Um, so last year we ended up reaching about 4,000 kids with Ending the Silence at many different schools in the West Side. And let's see, it just goes through it is a national program. So it's evidence-based. I think there's been a lot of work at the national level to do this. So what's really cool is people get trained as a presenter, a lead presenter, or a young adult presenter to share more from their experience. And and basically they can present through any NAMI at any school around the country. So it is a really robust program. I think it's a great example too of just developing programming for mental health at a national level that's been really successful. I wish I knew the national stat, but I think it's like in the hundreds of thousands, maybe someone will check that at some point, but it's a lot. A lot of kids are delivered this presentation every year. When we get into a school, I always like to present to the whole school, and we do have some teachers who say, we had a history teacher a couple of years ago who had us present to his class, and I remember him saying, if you guys pay attention to anything this year, let it be this presentation. So it feels really good. We do it at the assembly level, so we've done it for hundreds of kids, or we've done it for small groups, class sizes of 15 to 30. So I'm going to run through these. I'm a fan of Ending the Silence, if you can't tell. And I know a lot of our presenters are on as well. So it's good to see you too. Went through that, right? We have a couple presenters. So importantly, I would say ETS at your school or any school that you have a connection with or that is in your awareness, go ahead and if you want to make a connection or just let me know that, hey, Oshri, these folks would be good to reach out to. If you're not sure they're in our area, then we'll check that and we'll see that, okay, maybe we connect them with another NAMI chapter for their jurisdiction. But I'm gonna be cavalier or bold and say that we reached 4,000 last year, and I'd really like to get 8,000 this year. I don't see a reason why we can't with respect to our capacity. We have, I want to, at the top of my head, at least 20 really solid presenters and good staffing for coordination. So I'd really like to double it in the next year. So everyone in this call, I ask you to put whatever you can into helping that happen. And I believe it does make a difference for these kids. And there's, right, there can be thousands more kids who would never get this conversation anywhere else but in this presentation. So we also have a version for families. The family version we're usually doing on Zoom, but we can do it in person as well. We did a few family presentations last year, and those are really nice. Sometimes you see at some schools, the school counselor is at capacity in terms of answering questions about mental health. So it's a nice opportunity for them to partner with our resources and peers for questions about mental health for their kids. And we also do a staff version. Justin coordinated, who's on here, Justin coordinated us for Merman last year. We had a great time presenting in a morning coffee. It was like first thing in the morning, we started talking about mental health with these teachers. They were a really dedicated group. So yeah, please do reach out to me. If you want to make a connection or just say, Oshri, reach out to this school, then that would be so lovely. We also have NAMI on campus clubs. This is a student group. It's the affiliation and coordination is part of it is more with NAMI California, but it's essentially students in high school and college can affiliate with NAMI California and get a campus club on site. And then we come in and another wonderful team member, Britt, often comes in and will do programming with them. It can be mindfulness, yoga, Pilates is really excellent with bringing some of those embodiment programming to schools. So same deal if you know a school that, or know a teenager who might benefit from having a club on campus and might have the energy to run it. It's also not bad for like college admissions things, having another thing on your curriculum or you know what I mean? What is NAMI on campus? So we ran through that. Now we have another next on the menu. So we're going, I feel like that was the main course. And then this is like a substantial appetizer offering. This is a new program called the Flare program. And this is particularly mindfulness and mental health literacy programming that it's quite new and it's running for this year. So on the same end, if you know a school who might benefit from us implementing and coordinating on this program with the admin, then please let us know. Yes, bring this free programming to your school community. And it's worth saying all of the offerings, whether it's NAMI on campus, Ending the Silence, or the Flare program, these are all programs that are free for community members. So we're really fortunate to be able to go in and not have to charge the schools or community centers where we're presenting because of our funding and grants. So that's my info, but we'll also drop that in the chat too. I'm going to push on to our next item on the menu, and it is going to get, the beginning of this is a little more didactic, by the way, and then we're going to get more into the inner child stuff. So just so you know, if the inner child is like, I thought it was going to be more fun, it will be. It will be. So for now, I'm actually really pleased to share this project. This is our Children's Mental Health Toolbox. And this is where a lot of my personal creative and mental time goes into, is developing resources that have gone into this Children's Mental Health Toolbox. A little behind that is NAMI's programming, even nationally, has been really robust for adults for sure, for teenagers, and even down to middle school for sure. And then there's a little more sparse. We do have a really good activity packet that's shared now nationally called Little Monsters. Beyond that, it's been a little more limited for like elementary school level or level mental health programming opportunities. So as a children's author, illustrator, which is how Aaron and I first connected and I first got integrated with NAMI, I've had just a ton of fun making new curriculum and new projects with that I add to our toolbox. And actually several people in here have been collaborators on project. I'll mention Justin again. We did, Justin instigated and inspired a couple of activity packets. Aaron and Elizabeth for sure. I don't see everyone in the chat, so people I'm missing, I'm sorry, but the wonderful thing is that the contents here, I create, but I feel they're more curated, and they're really done with high level professionals who have been working with kids sometimes for decades. And I get to produce stuff, and it is a really special opportunity to do. I feel like usually when we look at curriculum development, there's a little bit more degrees of separation between the development and the delivery. And I love my work with NAMI because I get to find out what's relevant, and I get to create the material, and I get to share and implement it too, which I feel like is really rare and special. So it does feel relevant, and it is definitely really fun. So I'm going to run through some of our toolbox contents. We have these affirmation coloring sheets. Those we have in English and Spanish. We have digital versions right now of our affirmation cards. Those are on compassionate listening and communication. We have a trifold brochure. This is a newer project called The Leap. It's for kids who are transitioning from elementary school to middle school. That's been really fun. These trifolds I really like making. They're kind of like, I see them as condensed children's books in a sense. So that's been really fun. It's just one sheet front and back. Moving on, we have several activity packets. Little Steps to Big Braveness. That was the one actually I think Justin nudged in here because it was developed after the fires in LA. So around January, February, we're looking to develop materials that could be used for kids processing the fires. It got really well distributed in especially Santa Monica and Malibu Unified School District. Feeling It Out is about opening up about feelings. Deep Breathing is My Blanket is another one. These are all, I could take like an hour just honestly, I could talk for ETS about an hour. I could talk about the toolbox for an hour, but we're just doing the skim, and it's quite easy to get the link. And this is a free PDF too to access the resources. So I'm not going to dwell too much. There Are No Mistakes is a really fun one that we did actually with our team of grown-ups during one of our NAMI meetings, and that was really fun. My Hands Are for Peace. That was actually in coordination with NAMI Chicago and the Boys and Girls Club out there, talking about a tool for kids who are aggressive and use their hands for ways that are inappropriate, and and hitting each other in particular, and finding other ways. The last one I did was When I See a Hurt, and that's about the bystander phenomenon. And I'm going to be working with that one at the NAMI California Youth Symposium in October. So all of these can be used in tandem with SEL curriculum. So they're good if you know people are either teachers or if they're school counselors or parents too. So it's a pretty, I think everything in here is pretty self-explanatory. So the barrier to having it and being able to implement it is not too massive a lift by design. And then these are a bunch of books that I've worked on and created and illustrated or wrote, or just illustrated or just wrote. Most of them I wrote or co-wrote, but there's a bunch of them here. I have them categorized in the 5 competencies of social emotional learning. So to make it even easier to integrate with SEL curriculum. So instead of talking about each of the books, which believe me, I could, because I'm like show and tell. I'm a kid in a candy store, and I love talking about these books. And my people ask sometimes, like, what's your favorite one? And it's like, not that I have kids yet, but deciding between kids. And I put my heart into all of them and enjoy sharing them. And they're all different. So, so we'll skim past those for now. And those, by the way, are also projects that are really collaborative in nature too. This is not that. I worked on with a teammate, Jalissa Hubbard, and that was centered around polyvagal theory, which she's really versed on. And phony baloney was the last one I finished, and that was with actually Erin and her daughters, and they were like really crucial advisors throughout the whole project. So, yeah, so I'm grateful for that. Just being able to create and not create in a silo has been really nice, and I hope has led to some useful materials. Um, one more thing I'll say about the toolbox before we get into the more inner child stuff is that, again, if you know schools or you know elementary schools, teachers, connect us or let me know if I should reach out to anyone, because they can implement it at the school, and I can also do readings at the school at a classroom level or assembly level. So moving on, healing through stories. So that's what if I were to summarize what I do with my most creative work with NAMI, I would summarize it through that. I try to generate ways to heal through stories. So why wellness and mental health? These are my nieces, by the way. They're really cute, and I never try to miss an opportunity to share a cute picture. So I'm just going to share a little bit about my background and how I got into this. And I'll probably slow down a little bit because it gets a little more personal. But I'm going to share a story that I like to share before I start any ending the silence presentations. And it has to do with my mom and our family mental health history. And before I even do that, I am going to flick a light on, just be safe.
As we wait for Oshri, we can see his nieces and also just, remember the concept of tonight's presentation about honoring the inner child. So there you go, Oshri.
Yes, thank you. And my wonderful fiance is helping get the light on. So thank you, Gracie, because it was, she unplugged it to do some vacuuming, which I'm also so grateful for. Okay. So here's this element of my family mental health that I always share. I hope that's better. So my mom is she'll be 75 in November, and she has an older sister who she's been estranged from for most of her life. And if you were to have asked her why, she would have said most of all these years, she would say just really difficult, mean behaviors that she didn't know how to navigate. So she had to create distance, and that can turn into estrangement. And now we're going to flash back about 21, 22 years ago. My mom was going through her mom's diary after her mom had just passed away. And she happened upon the diary, happened to open it up and be flipping through it. I don't know at what thoroughness, but she found a diary entry from when they were kids. So it would have been the 1950s or 60s. And this talked about how her sister had been diagnosed with schizophrenia when she was a child. And so she never told my mom, and my mom not opened this entry up. I don't think she ever would have known about this diagnosis. So she kept that secret. And flash forward now to a couple of years ago, my mom gave me a call. She said, Oshri, I feel like my mom never let me love my sister. And every time I share that story, it's a little shocking even to me. And I probably shared it dozens of times now. But we have that in our family, that lack of willingness to open up. And I know it's not just, I mean, NAMI exists, so I know it's not just my family, but it's also so personal. And I think until you talk about it or hear about it enough, there's almost no reason to assume that it's not just your family because it's so quieted. So, and then I'll share one more little story that also has like a lot of personal touch, and I think illustrates why I really love this work. And it's about my own brother who suffered from a lot of really severe mental health challenges and passed away about 11 years ago. Also, my older brother uh, from a heart arrhythmia. He was in the middle of really severe depression that was likely contributed to his physical deterioration. And there's a lot of lessons I learned from wanting to support my brother and trying to help him and living through that I know so many people on this call probably relate to. Um, but I got a gift from my brother. And the last thing that, well, one more thing I'll share before this. My brother was a big reason that I loved to read, mostly as a kid. Now I more write, but love to read, love to draw, and love to make music. Like he was really like one of those first people to like look up to and admire the skills of and want to emulate. So that also ties into all of this. So the last words I got to hear from my brother face to face were, he looked at me and he said, "Oshri, everyone thinks I'm crazy, and I'm not. And I just want to say thank you." And it was like, if a tragedy is going to happen, like I can't imagine like words of closure that I could be more grateful for. Um, so I go into my work with that and with a lot of dedication, a lot of like really personal dedication that sometimes like as people in this field know, like you have to reassess, like, wait, what's me and what's my work? Um, and we also wouldn't really want it the other way because it feels so meaningful and close to the heart and personal. So I'm going to go on and we're going to talk about some of these uh, inner child tools. There's the toolbox link, but we can send a link to that later, so don't worry about that. I'm going to read the story. It's called The Child in Me that I wrote with a friend orally. I'm just going to do a quick time check. Okay, we're good. So The Child in Me, this is all about touching into our inner child. And then we'll do a couple of little exercises from the toolbox. That looks like it fits the whole page. There we go. The Child in Me. So I wrote this and illustrated it. Orly, who I worked with on this, is a medium and a really interesting person. So if anyone's looking for a medium, let me know because she's the real deal. All of us hold an inner child, no matter how old we are, no matter wild or unwild. And as I read, I invite you to maybe listen to me not more than 70%. Like focus on your inner child too. Give that some love and attention and breath and space. And see how this lands with your inner child too. A grown-up who's bossy or mean may often be steered by their inner teen, or even an infant in the process of wean. Hey there, fella. All angry macho, with caring eyes, I gently watch you. Machoing can be with muscles or with brains too. anytime people try to control a people zoo. Maybe something happened to that child inside, something big long ago, or lots of small hurtful things that left them needing to control the show. The good news is we can help the child inside, and earning enough trust, they may be happy to just come along for the ride. We can close our eyes and search our bodies to remember, taking deep breaths to feel any lingering, hurting ember. So I invite a breath together. And a slow exhale. Remembering that ember can also fuel our light. With our heart's lamp, we can approach the child in us who's tugging in fright. Telling them, I know, it was awful, it wasn't right, but stay with me, love. Now I embrace you tight. Holding their hand, we can give them comfort, saying, I'm so sorry, my dear, you were so injured. I see you, I hear you, I feel you, and now I have the strength to hold you. Now slowly, see if the child can be soothed and guided. I love you and appreciate that our lives coincided. Remember, when you go out there, it's not the adults of whom we must sometimes beware, but our inner untended children who lacked the right kind of care. It's okay to judge, but don't let your judge play boss or nanny when your situation might be better resolved embodying a gentle granny. Yes, that's right. No matter our age, we have not only a child in us, but also wise and loving grandparent guides to help tend to our fuss. We can reach our ancestors and our aged future selves, their seasoned knowing flowing from where the source of wisdom dwells. They've had time to deepen into healing, love, fulfillment, strength, and meaning. Imagine now the homes that might be healed, the joy we might together yield. Everyone closing our eyes, making a strongly tender decree, saying, and you can repeat after me, probably on mute, but I say this, but everyone closing our eyes, making a strongly tender decree, saying, dear child in me, you're safe and free. I offer you this inward hug. We'll sip together from a cozy mug. All your pain I deeply honor. Name it, write it, sing it, paint it, dance it, exhale it. Over time, we'll learn to be calmer. Child, you sit at the roots of this precious life's tree. Dear child in me, you're safe and free. And this is actually not the end, but it is the mend. So I like to take a moment maybe and just sit with your hand over your heart and just feel into that inner child. Recognize that they're there. This is a little spontaneous, but would anyone like to enter in the chat or say out loud just a couple of things that their inner child might tell them after hearing that story? I don't see the chat either. Might need. Let's see. Anyone? That's okay. The inner child is like, oh, here, I got a chat. Very good. It wasn't your fault. I feel that. You're doing the best you can. Yeah. Yeah. You survived and thrived. Mm-hmm. I'm proud of you. Hug and cozy mug. That's good. Really good. Well, don't hesitate to, I'm going to keep going, but if you want to add something, we'll all be privileged to see anyone who likes. I'm looking at the time too. I may go ahead and we might skip around a little bit, but I do want to share a little bit excerpt from Phony Baloney, another book that I worked on with Erin and Ava and Harper, her daughters. These are just a couple pages to highlight this book, and we were really talking about what could be helpful for kids navigating our time. And I always think about the inner child too, right? I'm thinking for all ages, but appropriate for kids. So that some days feel like a phony bologna sandwich, real life the wonderless bread, and the phony bologna the tasty stuff between waking and bed. And to me, that gets at dopamine hits and that, right? So really I would say this book is conversation openers, right? And also seeing and processing what we are experiencing in our technological age. Another page that stuck out, right? Music and jokes, cute animals, memes, virtual teams, recipes for my favorite ice creams, movies, shows, and facts, directions, cameras, and games. All the folks who have made it to internet fame. But whoever makes these has turned privacy. But whoever makes these has turned privacy to what feels more like privacy. As I swipe, what's being swiped from me? As I push buttons, what buttons are pushed in me? As I scroll, my headspace is the toll. Right? We're trying to bring a gentle awareness, I would say, just to what is happening. That's really the goal here. And then righter and wronger, weaker and stronger, it's for kindness we hunger. But our list of labels grows longer. The me who we see when we glance at a screen, it's less than a sliver. It's truly 2D, affecting how we view and experience each other. In a flattened world, it's easy to see an unbearable other, even in a person who could in real life feel like a sister or brother. While far away communication is more possible and credible, some humans remain hungry and food GIFs are inedible. And I say GIFs. I still don't know if that's correct, if it's GIFs or GIFs. But anyway, so this is just an example of one of the books and what's available. I'm gonna pick like one sheet to go through because I want Fran to get her full-time sharing. So we have When I See a Hurt, and we have Little Steps to Big Braveness, and There Are No Mistakes. I kind of want to go to a playful note. I want to end on a playful note before handing it to Fran. So this time I really ask people, thumbs up, people can unmute themselves. Am I right? Or is that, if you're not a host, can you say, okay, cool. Can we get some inner children to pronounce one of these words at a time, in a way that we may not have heard?
Tickle.
There you go. Tickle.
Island.
Love.
Moon.
Did someone say Fune or Foon too?
Moon. Sorry for the interruption.
Oh no, no problem. There are no mistakes, so no need to.
Bagel.
Miguel, yeah, I had to say, I'm like, what is she talking about? Yes. like Miguel, you forget how to spell it when you hear
You won't
that.
be the first person that asks me, what am I talking about?
No. Um, Let me get one more.
Love.
Love. That's a really good one. I think that could even be a better pronunciation than the traditional one. So, okay. I have a lot of fun with this. I'm going to go back and do one more page to think about. Actually, no, I'm not, because it wasn't there. So I think let's hand it to Fran. I'll be here all night. So, and we can ask questions if we want to go back, if you have questions about this stuff, but I really want her to get her full time in, and everyone knows how to reach me. So there you go. Thank you so much. Fran, you want to take it away? Thank you so much, everyone, for sharing and engaging.
Yes, Oshri, thank you for reading that children's book. As I was listening to you talk about it, the first thing that came to my mind was how much of my healing really began the day that I guess I stopped silencing my inner child and started to listen to her and what she needed. I mean, growing up, I really struggled with my mental health. I mean, at 5 years old, I was terrified of growing. I was a competitive cheerleader, and they put us in these tiny uniforms and made us stand on a scale to see if we were small enough to be a flyer. And what they did was teach 5-year-olds and 6-year-olds to compete against each other and compare our bodies to compare our size. So I grew up constantly feeling like I wasn't ever safe. I wasn't even safe to eat. I wasn't safe to grow. I wasn't safe in my own skin and my own body. And that was really, really hard as your very beginning initial messages into the world. And as I grew up and got older, I started to feel like I couldn't catch my breath most days. My heart would start racing really, really fast. And I felt like I thought I was having a heart attack. My mom would have to pick me up and take me to the hospital. And they would say, oh, Fran is being dramatic. Fran is acting like a baby. They would say things like, big girls don't cry, which really, really sucked because I love that song, but I hated that saying. It just made me feel so invalidated. And as a young kid who's trying to figure out how to exist in the world, to constantly feel like everything about you and everything about how you appear and present in the world isn't good enough, I slowly started to lose any piece of me before I had a chance to nurture her. So at the age of 12, I decided I was gonna talk about it. I started a blog, which wasn't really a thing yet. This was 15 years ago. And I just wanted to talk about things that I was feeling, right? What 5-year-old me needed to hear, what 12-year-old me needed to hear, what maybe someone else needed to hear. So I started writing these quotes and these messages, hoping that someone out there would understand. And people kind of teased me and bullied me for it and made me feel even more disconnected from who I was and who I was trying to become, who I was trying to find in my core. But I kept trying to do it. I turned it into like a podcast, which was Blog Talk Radio back then when I was 15, thinking maybe maybe they're not hearing me. So I was trying to find a way to have that voice from 5-year-old me be heard, 12-year-old me, 15-year-old me, someone to really just see me. And that's why in Oshri's book, when he said, like, I see you and now I hold you, that's exactly what I was trying to create for myself at that time, but didn't know it yet and didn't know how to vocalize it or ask for it. So I kept trying to get through, but I wasn't taking care of myself. I was just disconnecting more and more from anything that I liked. I loved to color and I loved to run and jump in puddles and I loved to write and create little stories. But I was told that you're not supposed to do that. As a teenager, you're supposed to be put together. And as a young adult, you're not supposed to play in the rain. You're supposed to sit inside and maybe read a book or get some work done, which I love to do. But I also love to play around and have fun. It was no longer you can do arts and crafts. It was write a paper, which again, love to do. But it was constantly taking away things that I enjoyed, thinking that it was wrong and it was bad. So I started associating young me with being bad and wrong and not good enough. And it made me realize how so many of these wounds from my past that belonged to the child version of me were coming out as a college student. So I graduate high school and I go to college, and I think life's finally going to work out. This is where I'm going to discover who I am and where I fit in the world, and I'm going to graduate and get that perfect job, and life's going to work out and everything's going to be great. Because that's what they tell you, best 4 years of your life, and then everything makes sense. But I never really had time to explore who I was or connect to myself. I was trying to connect to what society told me I was supposed to like and what I was supposed to be and where I was supposed to fit into the world. So I ended up struggling more and more as I continued to disconnect and eventually lose any aspect of who I was or who I wanted to be. I attempted suicide 3 times, was hospitalized in a psych unit where for the first time, I realized all this time I was just surviving, but I was never living. I was never experiencing who I was. I wasn't experiencing these feelings of safety, of love, of joy, what child me needed. I was experiencing fear and pain and self-hatred. I was experiencing all these really hard things and thinking that was all there was to life. So when I finally got out of the psych unit and I started learning self-care, it was kind of like a homecoming for myself. I learned all these things that really helped me connect back to child me and what she needed. I started coloring these messages for myself every day with the words that I needed to hear, thinking back to those critical moments in my life, like being 5 years old and being forced to step on a scale to see if I was small enough, right? I needed to hear that I mattered, that I was enough, that I'm more than a number. I am valued. I am beautiful. I'm smart. I'm whatever. I am something. I'm a human being and I deserve to feel loved and to be loved and to love myself. So I was making these cards for myself and coloring, and I didn't realize at the time, but I was creating myself again. I was creating what child me needed, that space for her to exist and to finally feel like she had a space. So I started coloring, and one day I had all these cards in front of me and I sent them to the psych unit that I was in, and they loved it. And every day I started coloring, not for productivity, not because I needed to be creating these perfect images, but just to have fun, because what child me needed, what adult me needed was presence. I just needed to have fun and be present with myself. I started creating these like worksheets for myself, trying to teach myself how to have a conversation with other people and also myself, and how to give validation statements. I learned that there were so many things I could do, like listening to music and having a dance party. Kind of told not one day you just stop doing that. But when I would put on my favorite Taylor Swift song when I was growing up that my grandmother and I would listen to, and I'd have a dance party, suddenly I felt connected to a piece of me that I forgot even existed. Or when I would take blankets and build a fort, right? I was connecting back to that piece of me that wanted to feel safe and secure and held. So I started finding these things that I could do. And then I learned about organizations like NAMI, where I could come in and share my story. And that became so powerful, because for the first time, I didn't have to live completely in silence, right? And I learned that you can't really heal what you continue to silence. When I started talking about it, I started to explore new pieces of myself. Every time I share my story, it's always a little different, and re-exploring, rediscovering pieces of who I am and who I was before all the messaging kind of took over my brain and told me who I was. But as I'm talking about this, and as I'm thinking back to that book, what I really needed, that inward hug, for me was that message of, you can handle this. And being able to give that to others has been so amazing, which is why I'm so grateful that today we're all going to make an encouragement card, and hopefully that card is a message back to your inner child, to what you needed at that time. For me, I know every time I make a card, it serves as a love letter to my future self, from myself right now. And I think it's going to be really amazing to turn it around and create that space for our younger selves, to give us that message that we actually probably still need to hear today. So if you have any art supplies with you, if you don't want to open the notes app on your phone, but maybe we can take a moment to reflect on that message that child you needs to hear today. Do you need a message that encourages safety or rest, laughter, creativity? Where can you reclaim some joy and some hope? So I'm going to share with you examples of some cards as well that we can Are you able to see my screen? So these are some messages that me and volunteers from around the world we've done over 27,000 handmade cards to patients hospitalized in psych units through this program. So these are some of the messages that I needed to hear, that people like me needed to hear. And maybe we can create that for ourselves today, if you all would love to do that with me.
Fran, these are beautiful. They're so beautiful. Thank you for sharing with us, and I can't wait to make one.
Yeah.
When you make them, do you give some kind of prompt or just whatever comes to you?
So I like to say, what's the message that you need to hear right now? Or going with the inner child, thinking back to maybe your lowest moment, right? A moment growing up where you felt unheard or not seen. What message would you give to yourself in that moment? As we're going through it, does anyone want to share some of the messages that are coming up? You can either unmute or put it in the chat.
I was getting so into my card. The one I'm working on says, be gentle with yourself. You're doing the best you can.
I love it. That's such an important reminder. A lot of times we put so much pressure on ourselves. That's kind of what we're taught growing up. I mean, you're taught at an early age that you have to answer questions correctly or you fail the test, right? A lot of times we're not taught to just be gentle and to go at our own pace and to keep going. That's a really great message.
Oshri, I love the haiku you wrote in the chat.
It's so good, Oshri. I think something for me that's coming up as a child, I feel like you wanted answers now. There was a sense of immediacy. And so I was just saying, like, to give it time. Everything will be okay. Give it time and be kind, be gentle to yourself, like Elizabeth was saying. And I think so often we want answers right away. That doesn't necessarily change as you get older, but
Yeah, that's so true. A lot of times we live in a world that's so uncertain and life is so uncertain, and we're always seeking answers to questions that we haven't even asked ourselves yet. And it's really hard as a kid when you're trying to make sense of the world and figure it out. You don't know how to get comfortable with the uncertainty and the unknown, and to learn to embrace it can be really powerful.
I'd like to add something. How about reparenting, providing the love, support, and guidance that the inner child may have lacked, healing your wounds, integrating the inner child, bringing the healed and nurtured aspects of the inner child into your present self.
I love that.
But reparenting, providing the love, support, and guidance that the inner child may have lacked.
That's so powerful. Oh, I just saw yours in the chat, the picture in the chat, Debbie. I love these that you're sending in. Something that's been coming up for me as I'm writing mine is I'm learning how to walk. As kids, I learned this from a therapist recently, but as kids, we, as babies learn to walk, we don't make fun of them and tease them and laugh at them for falling. We try to help them stand back up. And through life, we're walking through each new moment for the first time. We've never been in that moment until we're in that moment. So remembering that we're learning how to walk through each new moment in life, and that's okay. So it's okay if we don't know. It's okay if we fall down. It's okay if we don't know what comes next. It's all new to us. And all we can do is put one foot in front of the other, or just take that deep breath to let this moment pass and get to the next. How does it feel making these cards and creating these messages for yourself and for your inner child?
A really lovely way to end the day and also do something creative. I feel like I haven't gotten out a box of markers in a long time.
Yeah, like when's the last time that you all color just for fun? Oftentimes we love to do that as a kid, and then one day we just stop. So that's just one example of a way that you can nurture your inner child and give your inner child space. Oh, I love that you matter. Give your inner child space to just exist. It could also be reading a kid's book, writing a kid's book. It can be painting. It can be going outside and just taking your shoes off and being barefoot, right? You do that as a kid, oftentimes don't do that as an adult. Curling up under a blanket, all these small things that we can do for that younger version of us who needed that feeling of safety can make such a difference.
Erin, I love the sunflower.
I do too.
Adeline, I love your message. That's so sweet. As we do this exercise, maybe Fran and Oshri, you can talk a little bit about the work that you do every Monday with our community and just how impactful that is and how you are actually helping young children kind of address their inner child at a younger age. And so some of the healing that a lot of us have taken so long to acknowledge, I think maybe that you're starting that healing process much earlier. And it's such a gift for our community. And also just to share that with us, to know that our community is doing such great work.
One of my favorite things that we do at Resnick with the under 12 unit is Oshri brings one of his children's books. And we get to read and do story time with the kids. And just the powerful lessons that they get to take away. And a lot of times, Oshri is teaching us how to take deep breaths through it and really take moments to process what we're hearing and really take it in, and how we can take those messages and give them to ourselves. So Oshri has been amazing with his books. And then he also brings an instrument every week as well, which has been really great because we learn to breathe with him as he's doing the instruments, but it gives us like a mindful minute to really reconnect into the present moment. Oshri, what is your favorite part of the under 12 unit?
Yeah, there are a lot, honestly, and thank you, Fran. Thank you for your kind words. And it's been such a great opportunity to get to work in that space together. I think one of my favorite parts of it is we get to, it's such a secluded space that no matter, I remember we went in when the fires were happening still. We went in during all of the shenanigans of the last month, like nationally and citywide. And it's always just its own like sacred space where these kids are just, they have their own world. They're coming from whatever they came from. And I think that's just it's such cool healing space. I mean, even the air is like, it's really closed off. I mean, they do have an outdoor space, which is nice too, but it's just been cool to have be in a space that so honors the kids' opportunity to take space and heal. And like Aaron was saying, and Fran, like you were saying, and like I try to remind the kids, hey, one opportunity of your being here is to start to talk about things that I didn't start to even think about till the last, maybe 15 years ago. And then also their opportunity to be there for each other. I think that's one of my favorite parts, is seeing and maybe even helping to facilitate. And I think, Fran, the way you lead the cards does that too, which is like they're such a huge part of their each other's healing journey, and they leave that space with new best friends often, it seems. And so just seeing how the kids are just as much a part of each other's support journey and healing journey as really trained professionals. It's like, oh, they just want someone to hang out with. and even, and I'll just share one moment from last week that I started thinking, oh, like they should just do this more. And maybe I'm ignorant of like the discharge process, but this is in the adolescent unit actually. There was a young man though who was about to leave, and he's like, bye. And I'm like, wait a minute. I asked the nurse, do we have a minute with him? Can he stop? Can he stay a minute? And I asked all the kids to say like one thing they appreciated about this guy before they left, just to honor that, hey, this is a relationship they're creating in one of the most vulnerable moments of their lives, potentially. So yeah, it's just been great. Their team has been so wonderful in being open to new creative potential. Like the cards is amazing. And every time I try to nudge, I'm like, Fran, tell them how many cards you've made and got out there. And I think like, okay, has anyone done 20,000 of anything ever? Like raise your hand, right? And it's really inspiring. It's been a real treat.
What I love most about the cards too is that they leave them behind. So you're using it to create these messages for future kids as well who are going to come into this unit. And how can we give them those reminders that we need to hear right now. So not only are we giving that reminders to ourselves in that moment, but to the next person who maybe walks in and feels scared or overwhelmed. I mean, when you enter into the psych unit, you're typically not very happy and excited to be there. So how can we give them that sense of safety and compassion and love? And they get to do that every week with us. And we get to be part of doing that as well. I think is the most amazing thing. And then when we go into the adolescent unit, we do the ending the silence, and I've been so lucky to get to share my story with them. And that's exactly what I needed when I was in the psych unit. I needed to see someone who had gone through the system, who had been there, and who came out on the other side, and get to see that real voice of hope, of future possibility. Because I know for me, when I was in there, it didn't feel like there was ever going to get better. It didn't feel like there was light at the end of the tunnel. It didn't feel like there was any light in the room in general. So if I had someone who talked about mental health in general and just normalize that I'm not the only one going through this, to see someone on the other side, to see multiple people on the other side, I think that would have been so powerful for me. So I love and appreciate every moment that I get to go into the psych unit as well.
Well, I want to say my son was in that Resnick Psych Unit in 2009, and it was not a pretty place. And he felt so like a caged tiger, and there was no normalcy. And I just want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing for the people that are in the hospital now, because it makes such a difference. I know what it was like before you were there, and now I can see what a difference you're making, and it's such a huge difference. Fran and Oshri, I'm so grateful that you're making such a difference. And it's a huge difference because it was not like that before. So thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Adeline. And just, Elizabeth has been such an amazing leader in this space to create that relationship with the hospital and to make these opportunities happen. And so thank you, just to really shout out Elizabeth for being such an amazing leader and creating that space. And then also recognizing Garrett, who's on the call, and his amazing mother, who, Cynthia is there doing NAMI in the lobby, and also Debbie Brazel, who's also on here, an amazing woman and family member and clinician. And she, these folks are there in NAMI in the lobby, and they're there right before loved ones go to visit, their family members that are hospitalized, and they're scared and they don't know what to do. And they have these amazing people that say, I've been there. I know what you're going through. And then there's a support group for family members after the visiting hours. And Garrett, yes, I want to just give Garrett a moment to kind of share his experience and all the good that you've brought also to these support groups.
Well, first, let me say thank you to Aaron. Thank you so much for letting me speak. I just want to say, Oshri, you did amazing. I've learned more and more about you the more you talk about, your experience and what you share in these coloring books, the profound work you do. And you have a very strong heart, and it comes through in all the work that you do. And I'm very proud of you. You did a great job tonight. And Francesca, you did an awesome job tonight. Look how far you've come. Look how vulnerable you are while being grounded. Look how intelligent you are while being kind-hearted. You really did a great job, Francesca, and both you and Oshri have a lot to be proud of. So I'm happily amazed. I didn't know what to expect tonight, and my heart is touched in a special, special way. And I will carry this evening with me because it was very meaningful to me and my family, with me and my mom. I love the work I'm doing at UCLA. It's helping me grow as a person, as a professional. The colleagues that I'm working with are fantastic. We play off each other. We know the strengths and the weaknesses and, who says what. And being able to represent NAMI and go into the hospital where I was hospitalized last and be able to go in the lockdown room and be able to leave is the biggest relief. Because when you're in that lockdown hospital and you can't leave for days and you're walking around in these little hospital boots with your gown with your back exposed, it is demoralizing and it is scary and you don't know what to expect with your roommate next to you. You don't know what's going on. And, I really feel that me and the peers representing NAMI, we pour our hearts out. We let them know that it's okay to talk about things that are uncomfortable. We give them coping skills. And most of all, we give them role modeling that you can do it. And I think that's priceless. And, I think I at the end of the group, sometimes I ask, was this group different than other groups? And they're like, yeah. And I get so excited when they tell me that. And I heard one time somebody say, this hour group went by, it felt like it was 5 minutes. And I said, that was the best. I said to myself, that was the best compliment anybody could give me, that I made their difficult time in their life go by faster. And it's just such a blessing to dress up nice and sign in and go to UCLA, and they have, the nice waterfalls and the doctors are there. I feel so important. I can't wait to go every time. So thank you, Nami. It's great to have this community, and thank you, Janis, for creating this venue where we can all connect and love one another and accept one another. And it's really a healing space. So thank you, Janis and Aaron and Elizabeth and everybody. And Adeline, of course, Adeline. Always love being with Adeline.
Let's just get like a hip hip hooray for Garrett. Hip hip hooray.
Yay. And Adeline was and Ralph were my NAMI family to family teachers. And that was the best class I've ever taken in my life. 27 family members. And I will never, ever forget just how this NAMI group, I never felt alone. Last Monday, a week ago, we had NAMI in the lobby, and we also had UCLA. We had another table. We were promoting our psych app, UCLA psych app, and to have Garrett and Cynthia and everyone representing and NAMI, and then seeing you 4 times last week, Oshri. We're doing a workbook together, and we're going to give it to everyone in the new hospital.
Wonderful.
The adolescents, the children, the adults, and who better than Oshri to connect with my vision of giving inspirations. And it's a win-win all over, because this is a lifetime mental health. And we all have to give a shout out to Sharon Dunas, wherever she is tonight.
Yay.
Sending a blessing. We love Sharon. She's our queen. And thank you, Aaron. The website looks fantastic. It is so full of information. And this is just growing and getting better and better, our community.
I just want to say it was great to see Debbie Brazel too. I see Debbie's giving hearts and clasped hands, and it's great to see Debbie. And I think she's got a master's degree now. She's doing amazing work as a clinician, so Debbie's doing awesome stuff. And I just love seeing everybody grow. It's like this. We have this beautiful community at NAMI where we feel we can be ourselves. We learn from another. We bring each other up. We become better human beings. We pick from other people the things that we love and want to aspire, and we rub off well on each other. And that's kind of the way a healthy family or a healthy organization should be. And that's why I call it my NAMI, like my NAMI family. I just love it.
Thank you so much, Garrett. You are so articulate, and I think you took the words out of all of our mouths. So we couldn't have said it better. So thank you so very much. Yeah, thank you so much to you and your mom.
Thank you.
My goodness.
Also blessed here. We really are so blessed.
Carol, thank you for joining us. It was so lovely to have you.
Oh, Carol, you're on mute. Let's see if
I must say that I found this evening overwhelming. In beauty and nurturing, and the people who need what you offer are so lucky to have you. And Francesca, your cards, I've colored with my kids and my grandkids. We have coloring parties when my grandkids were little. And was one of my best things to do when I was a kid. And we'd sit around the table and we'd all color, and then we hold them up, you know, so proud of ourselves. So, and I found the inner child, Oshri, an extraordinary experience for me, myself. I had a terribly difficult childhood. And as a person of age, I don't let myself go back to touch myself as a child. And my card, I have to go, but my card is, oh, it's backwards.
Made it.
My card is "You made it,"
That's a good one.
and with a heart around it. So, yeah. So Oshri will talk more, but I must go now. So, good luck to everyone. And I'm thankful that I was here tonight. Thank you.
Thank you,
Vita
Carol.
from my support group is here.
Oh, good.
Take care. Thank you so much. Janice, I feel like you're trying to show something. What are
I
you trying
want
to?
to just say, I feel like I've arrived tonight. I've arrived just from working for so many years and so many sessions. And, you know, it takes decades to get to where we are. And each decade we get stronger and stronger. And all of us, we can't do it alone. And thank you, Erin, and thank you, Oshri and Fran. And what a night. I'm just blessed. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Janice. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for joining us. I
She
kind
just
of
left.
prepared a couple of closing remarks, and just to thank Oshri and Fran so much for your thoughtfulness and inspiring all of us with this meaningful presentation this evening. And also thank you to all of our community members for joining us in this engaging conversation and honoring our own inner child. And perhaps we should carry this night's theme, you know, in our day-to-day. Remember to honor your inner child. I don't know if Debbie's still on with us, but it inspired our monthly newsletter message. And she was on our team meeting and she said, you know, I keep a picture of my younger self next to my computer. So that way, sometimes if I make a mistake, you know, and I get really hard on myself, I look at the younger version of myself and I would say, I wouldn't talk to that little girl that way. And so to remind ourselves to be gentle and be kind. And just Oshri and Fran, thank you so much for all the wonderful work that you're doing.
thank you. And thank you, team. What a great team. I think we could all go on. We're like all stoked. All right. It's good.
A Mutual Admiration Club. Yep. Okay, everyone. Well, have a lovely evening and thank you for coming. And Janice, thank you again as always.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night, everyone. Take
Thank
care.
you. Thank you, everyone. Bye.